Welcome back, everybody. Jeff from Suns and Shadows coming at you with another Morning After Dynamite review. Last night we had a pretty interesting and enjoyable Dynamite, but on the Shane Watch, we are at day number 2 with the rumors that Shane O'Mac is coming in from WWE fame, Shane McMahon. Leaked images and everything. That's not happening here, but we are on a Shane Watch, so keep track, everybody. We're going to count down them days till an incident that might happen or may not happen. We will find out. We kick off Dynamite on this particular episode in true fashion with MJF strolling on out. He hits a pretty decent promo. He's just talking about, like, I'm the American hero. Will Ospreay's a joke. It's kind of a typical start to a promo for him lately, which is totally fine. And then he gets interrupted by Will Ospreay, who then comes out, cuts his own promo saying the international title actually means something. You don't care. You're not really a workhorse. Previous champions, we all worked hard for this title to make it what it is. And so they're building up the difference between the two and how they treat the title, how they treat the fans. It's not really a country versus country thing, because even Will basically comes out and says this isn't about hating America or anybody else. It's just about work ethics, and you don't represent the work ethic of your own country. So it was a pretty good promo. I really did enjoy it, and it's really setting up for All In. And so that's the main purpose for what they're going for here. And they're starting to heat it up because we roll right into the Will Ospreay and Lance Archer match, which this was a good match. I like Lance Archer. We need more of him on our TV, please. If he's going to be a killer big guy, and Will certainly made him look great, and Lance is usually pretty damn good by himself, then that's really good. Having him on TV gives a different element to things. We don't really get all the big meaty men matches too often. When we do get them, they're usually like fantastic. I would just argue, like, we could probably stand to have one or two of these big guys actually showcased on TV a little bit more often, like, say, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, maybe one other one, whether in the background or not. I know Samoa Joe is off shooting his Twisted Metal show, and then nobody knows what the hell is going on with Wardlow. I guess we'll find out. It seemed like he hurt his knee a little while ago. Whether that's really a thing or that was just a story, I don't know. Guess we'll end up finding out. But, it's a good, solid match with Will pinning him after hitting 2 hidden blades. I really enjoyed the match. They had some good spots, good psychology. I feel like, it could have gone another 5 more minutes. But ultimately, pretty good match. The post-match, MJF runs out, beats down Will. And then Kyle Fletcher comes running out with Don Callis, and Kyle Fletcher runs off MJF, basically challenges MJF to a match next week on Dynamite, and that looks like that'll be pretty interesting. I like Kyle Fletcher's fire here. I'm just a little concerned about where we're going with the story, with him being like Will's best friend. He's my brother, and Don is still there. I feel like we're setting up for a heel turn for Fletcher against Will for post-match All In. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just one of my kind of thinkings. Like, well, you still have Don Callis out there. And he tells Don, I don't care. You told us not to help out Will and to let him be, but I can't do that. I still see that little twinge, and it's like, is Don just going to ditch everybody and go help out MJF? That's ultimately what I would do. Not that MJF needs a mouthpiece, but if you really want MJF to hit that next level of disgusting heel tactics, having him paired up with like Don is like putting Bobby the Brain Heenan with Nick Bockwinkel. Like, they're both highly intelligent, very smart. One's actually wrestling. And then you can have like Don negotiating for him, like, hey, this is a real champion here. I mean, that could be a very interesting dynamic. Like I said, not that MJF needs a mouthpiece. He really doesn't. But to give him a little more on the shady, disgusting, evil side, you could just keep it to bare basics. Keep it to, I pay him, He takes care of a lot of things for me. It's a beneficial relationship financially. So I guess we'll see what goes on with that. Then we hit into a nice little Swerve hype video for All In, basically highlighting some of the journey to get to All In. It's not much as far as like anything beyond just kind of a little bit of a hype video. They're not really forwarding a storyline quite yet. We get that a little bit later with Bryan Danielson's in-ring interview. But it's a nice, I like the hype videos. They're always pretty good. Then we get Statlander and Stokely versus Willow Nightingale, and Statlander wins the match by nefarious means. She knocks her the hell out with a discus lariat clothesline with her arm wrapped in a chain. I like that. I wasn't really feeling like the crowd was really hot for this match. I think they need to do a little bit more with the story. Not that I'm saying like the wrestlers need to do more work. I think there needs to be a little more heat going on between the two. Like they need to really start hating each other. I know we're already getting that with like Tony and Mariah May, but there is something to be said about, hey, this is another pairing that broke off. And if you really want to try and heat Statlander up, I'd start making her a little bit nastier. Just my opinion. But it's a good post. It's a good match. Stat wins. She gets her title match. And after the match, what I like is Statlander like hitting Nightingale with a chair to the back. Then she beats the shit out of security. So that was super fun. The crowd kind of went crazy for that. And they were bumping around. That was really good. And then Stokely convinces her to stop beating up security. I like Stokely a lot. He's fantastic. I like them as a duo. After this, we get a fun Bryan Danielson promo in ring. It's very low key. It's very appreciative of fans, where he's going with his career. We even get a Brie Bella chant because he really does love the town, because this is where he proposed to her many years ago. So that was a very cool touch. It's nice to see babyface Bryan Danielson versus heel Bryan Danielson. I like both. So it's kind of hard to say which one has been best in AEW, but what they're doing clearly is they're setting up for this big match at All In, and I think they did very well setting that up. He's talking about 2 promises he made when he joined AEW. This would be his last full-time wrestling contract, and that it's ending like today, but he's still doing the match. What that tells me is there's a little bit of an extension for this month, so we can do All In. Where we go with him afterwards, guess we'll see. I'm pretty sure he's going to be sticking around AEW. Sounds like he enjoys working there, and this is more his kind of style product. They'll incorporate him backstage. He'll be around. I don't foresee him not sticking with AEW like in the slightest, because he's more about like being satisfied with wrestling and a product. He's not about like, hey, I'm going to show up to WWE, wrestle twice a year, and make like $20 million. He's never been that kind of guy. Of course, he's going to want his value, but he's never really been money driven like that, or he wouldn't have gone to AEW. He likes the schedule. He likes the product. He likes the people he's working with. Ultimately, Swerve comes out and basically says, hey, if you were going for the title against anybody else, I don't want you to win. And he's like, but you're coming against me. I'm going to have to put you down, you broken old man. So Swerve hits the broken old man. You don't got it anymore. You weren't at All In last year because you were too broken. That's for when he broke his, what was that? His arm against Okada at Forbidden Door leading out of that. So he wasn't able to make that. He's going to make it this year. I still had a hope that we would get a Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson classic. Probably not happening. That's okay. But you know, so Swerve jumps on out. He's like, yep, good luck, buddy. You're going to need it because I'm the most dangerous guy in this company right now. And as he's going to leave, Bryan throws out, if I can't win that AEW world title, I'm full on retiring. I'll never wrestle a match again. And Bryan would be the kind of sort that would keep that kind of word. If he really means that and he loses this match, I know, never say never, but Bryan is a little more like Sting. When he says he's retired, He's retired. Sting has no intention at all of wrestling another match. I know Shawn Michaels said he would never wrestle. He kind of got boonswoggled into coming back for one more. He didn't really like how that happened. He regrets it. I know when you see all the zeros at the end of a check, sometimes it's like, oh, maybe I could do one more. But I don't see if Brian makes that promise, and even Swerve made a point of this. Don't keep that promise to me when you lose this match. Keep it to your family. And that was a really good final word promo. And so we're getting a career versus title match. I don't know what's going to happen at All In. By all feelings and accounts and what we're going through with like the news and everything that's going on, I kind of, if you're going to ask me right now who I think is going to win, I'm going to say Swerve. That would put a notch on his belt as far as the top guy. He beats Bryan Danielson, retains the title, and Bryan is fully retired. Or you get Bryan Danielson his AEW World title win, and then he vacates it like they did with the tag title. But he doesn't vacate it until probably next year, or he signs a little extension just to get through the end of the year, and at World's End, he puts over either Swerve or he wrestles somebody else. And I don't know who that would be. So I guess there's enough kind of going on to make you wonder, where are we going with this? I mean, you would think easy layup would be Swerve beats him, end of his career period, never wrestles another match ever again. So I guess we'll see. Me personally, I would probably have Bryan win, but I just don't see it. I think Swerve's winning the match at All In. And then we have some backstage promos going on. We get Bryan goes to the back. Renee Paquette is there to try and be like, hey, Bryan, you really are going all in with your career. How do you feel about this? And then they run into Jeff Jarrett and his little crew. I thought that was kind of broken apart by now. I guess not. But he basically challenges Jeff Jarrett for riling him up last week. And him and Jeff Jarrett are going to be wrestling next week on Dynamite. So that's pretty rad by me. I really like Jeff Jarrett. I think that'll be a fun hell of a match. Jeff keeps plugging along. He's in great shape. I'm excited for next week. And then, so now I don't know where this was placed. I remembered this just before we recorded. There was a Jericho Learning Tree backstage interview, and it was kind of not really memorable. It was just kind of there. All I remember is they had a cake, and basically Jericho's like, hey, Shibata, I know you're back, but you're going to regret coming back. And we have a cake, and in typical fashion, when you see a cake on TV, you think somebody's going to get it in their face. And Jericho's like, but it's not going to be me. And so basically they leave Alex Marvez with the cake, and Brian Keith tells him basically to eat that cake. So Marvez takes a lick. He's like, that's some good cake. I kind of dig what they're doing with Marvez as far as like a bit of a aloof backstage interviewer. It works for me. So it was an okay segment. There was another segment that we're getting to shortly. But what we get next is the trios match with Roderick Strong, Roosh, the Beast Martos versus Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, and Mark Briscoe. I'm not sure why we're going with some crazy trios right now. Clearly we're setting up the trios division by watching like Collision and what's going on otherwise. But I'm just a little confused why we're doing like these really mixed up sort of trios matches. Like we're just throwing people together just for what, shits and giggles. So, but this was an awesome match on television, nonstop. It was really good. I really enjoyed this match. And Martos actually wins by pinning Mark Briscoe. Now, I'm not watching Ring of Honor, so I don't know if Beast Martos is on that, but it almost feels like they're setting up Beast Martos versus Mark Briscoe for kind of a big match. So I think that's awesome. Beast Martos is pretty awesome, and I liked him. I don't know. I like the name Taurus a little bit better, Black Taurus, but dude's a fantastic wrestler. And although his kind of like finishing pile driver kind of move here kind of looked weird, didn't look all that great. Not sure what happened, if it was botched or whatnot, but for the most part, the guy's really fucking good. So I guess we'll see. And then after this, we get a backstage interview with the Acclaimed. I'm sorry, I like the Acclaimed, but this was kind of there. I don't know why. They were so heated up and like animated, and everybody loves the Acclaimed, and I wasn't really feeling this. So I don't know what's going on with the Acclaimed. Max Caster with the stupid mustache, looking goofy as shit. You know, they're coming off of Blood and Guts, and you're coming back with just this kind of bleh backstage segment. So I'm not really feeling the Acclaimed. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're not clicking for me right now. Not exactly sure what the issue is, but the dynamic, something's going on with the dynamic. It doesn't feel right. I don't know if that's intentional or just the magic is fading from the Acclaimed. Anthony Bowens is a great fucking wrestler. I think he'd be just fine on his own. But I don't know. I guess we'll see about that. Then we get Mariah May's sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. And this is a pretty good promo, but it's over like the second it basically gets started. There's like a question or two and a couple lines, and basically just it feels like Mariah's just, I don't know. I don't feel like the follow-up to her heel turn has been like all that great. Last week was really good with the squash match and then the pull-apart brawl. This one just felt like, let's just show Mariah as this sociopath. Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that. But if you're going to go into that, lean into it a little bit harder than what you're doing right now. It felt, there was like this uneasy tension between Renee and Mariah, which was kind of funny. I'm like, is Mariah going to try and kiss her, or is she going to try and hit her? Maybe that's the shtick. I don't know. But it was fun. I like, backstage interview, sit down segments like that. Keep up the good work, everybody. The production values are looking good. And then we got Tony running out in the middle of the announcers doing a little hype for what's going on. And I feel like we're about to get Joker Tony. Like, if anybody remembers TNA with Sting and he did Joker Sting, I feel like we're about to get a different version of Tony where she's a bit more unhinged and psychotic rather than just delusional and nuts. So, hey, if that's evolving your character, hey, I am all for it. Tony is a fantastic wrestler. No doubt about that. The character, she went from badass Tony Storm to timeless Tony Storm, and now we might be getting insane Tony Storm. I don't know. I'm pretty interested with Tony. See where we're going. The match should be fantastic and phenomenal. Next up, we get Camille, the Brick House, in a squash match against somebody named Brittany, local talent. Camille smoked her, so pretty good. I didn't get to see the Camille spear that we're all familiar with from like NWA, but that's okay. And Mercedes just cuts kind of a promo, just saying, Britt, it almost feels like there's not enough room for the both of us, and I'm going to take you out. So I like the look of Camille paired up with Mercedes. It's looking good, and boy, Mercedes was rocking some high heels to look like she was just as tall as Camille. So that was pretty fun and enjoyable. Mercedes promo is fine. I mean, I see what we're doing with Camille. She's great. I think she's going to do just well. And she's a smashing machine, but she's also a pretty decent wrestler. We'll see how this goes, but I like what we're getting with Camille. And then we hit to the main event. We get Hangman Adam Page versus Darby Allin. Please don't die, Darby Allin. That is the theory of this match. Hangman, these guys have match of the flippin' night. This is pay-per-view caliber match here at the end of the show. I'm not going to do a breakdown other than I'm just going to say Darby was taking some wicked bumps in this. The power bomb on the ring apron from Hangman was brutal. The SOS slam over the head onto the steps was insane. I thought literally, how is Darby not bleeding, let alone like dead from that? Great, great match. Awesome match. Great way to end the show. And Darby wins it. He pins Hangman. And it's a good match. I do enjoy it. My concern is what we're doing with Hangman. He keeps losing these matches. Are we going to just make him even angrier? I know, trust the system, trust the story. I don't think we're doing enough storytelling to understand what's really going on with Hangman right now. Is he about to go into tweener mode? Is he about to go even more vicious and nasty? I don't know. We have to watch the follow-up and see where it goes. I don't see where we're going to like an all-in match for him unless he's going to screw around in the finish with Bryan, but they don't really do run-ins like that all that often. So I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. But this was a pretty good show. There was a few things that were just kind of there and not really landing. I wasn't really, the Acclaimed interview was, I don't know what we're doing. I would give them a little bit of a break. Like, you got to get them off TV, give them some space from the product. I would also say, like, some of the interviews didn't quite land probably as they had hoped. Not that the work ain't there and that the interviews weren't good, just not quite feeling them. Like the Mariah May sit down, I like it, but I also will admit, like, it wasn't great and it was over in like a minute. And some of the matches are pretty good. Stat and Willow had a decent match. It wasn't great. They can do a whole lot better. I'm wondering if there was just some time constraint issues with that. But overall, this is a fun show, and it feels like we're really heating up to something really cool coming up with All In and then subsequently All Out. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You have a fun match from last night? Was there something you didn't like? Hey, put a comment down below. Be sure to hit the like button on this video. And hey, subscribe. Hit the little bell notification so you can stay tuned to all the AEW Dynamite reviews. This is the morning after with Jeff. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.